Okay. Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central. Today is Tuesday, April the 10th, 2018. I'm with my posse, Lisa Flamino Rush and BZ Rieger. And I know we haven't recorded for a while, so yay! I'm glad you guys came to.
Me too.
Let's have a chat. And so, of course, as usual, we started talking and, we should be recording this. So here we are in the midst of a conversation.
It was good so far. You should have been here.
Wasn't it? Shall I tell the story of my eyelashes?
Yeah. It's important.
Okay, so we were discussing how we've been faring in the energies and the fact that I'm no longer, at least I hope I don't look like I'm tripping on acid tonight. Because I feel I'm not quite that trippy. But as I was, there's been a lot of angst for me lately. I actually I was texting with a friend last night, and I used the terminology that I feel like something is about to blow. I feel like a shaken bottle of bubbly, like there's a pressure buildup of some sort. And I've been also, this I didn't share with you, BZ, but it kind of plays into what happened with the lashes. So over the last few days, I've been feeling this need to either be ready or do something more, or have this it's time to do something energy, but I don't really know where to put it and what it means and, all of that, right? So that's what I've been like. That's why I chose that metaphor, if you will, is the pressure behind a cork that's been shaken in a bottle of champagne or whatever. Anyway, I was sitting here in front of my setup, in front of the window as the afternoon light was streaming in, putting on my mascara because I do use a little mascara. I don't use any makeup other than mascara and a little under eyeliner. And I was enjoying the moment of, it was like something came over me all at once. It's like, all of this rushing around, this feeling of not being enough or doing enough or whatever it is that this pressure that I was feeling or that I was putting myself under. The act of just simply, I was noticing, first of all, my eyelashes. I love them. They are really blossoming with this castor oil that I've been using in my eyes, and I store it on one of those hollows. And I was just appreciating and loving my eyelashes and just enjoying the act of putting this mascara on because it was framing my eyes in a beautiful way. I was just taking a moment to love on me a little bit and my eyelashes, and I was I was definitely in the moment of enjoying the act of making my eyelashes visible and noticing how lovely they were, and not, I was just in that moment and appreciating all of that, and that's what, kind of realizing, I guess, for myself, that's kind of what all of this whole thing is about, right? Is being in joy of whatever it is that you're doing. I don't know. I was taking the moment to appreciate that, and I was sharing that with you, and now I got lost as to what we were talking about. That happened to me finally. I got lost.
I was saying that when you were the energy bubble that was around you when you were telling that story first, I could pick up on the thing that would come, a potentiality, a possibility that could come next of your creation, because that energetic vibration was so strong in the of being in the moment, of being totally connected with you and yourself, of appreciating a particular part of your physicality, but also the whole connection with it. And in a very timeless, out of time, but completely flowing with everything moment, which was palpable. And so I said, well, what I saw you do next was just to kind of look, you know, in the reflective surface that you were using, and look at the wand that you had been using for the eye, and kind of look like that, and as if you would see me drawing in my mind's eye, and go like this, and what you had drawn then came into manifestation and physicality. And you guys, you know, laughed, but also thought it was kind of cool. I said, well, that's where we are. And then I said, well, we should be recording this because it's all energy.
Yes.
Well, when you originally said that, okay, when you first said that, and I recognized, unfortunately a little late, and not in the moment, as to what you were referring, I felt that you were smack on for me in particular, and I didn't recognize it, probably because of the expectations of what I thought it would feel like for that particular energy. And that is based on some other sensations and experiences that I was having when we talked about the creational energies. And I don't know if it was the three of us together or if that was just Lisa and I alone last week, but I know that that's a conversation that we've had just recently, whether it was the three of us together or just Lisa and I. But it's like in that moment when it was so strong, it presented in my body in a specific manner. And so I didn't recognize it for what I now suspect it is. And that's that creational energy that I was referring to. And so when you just brought that in for me, also when we were talking about how, before we began recording, that Lisa and I both, me in particular, because I was feeling so flat before and dreamy and weird, weird to everybody else maybe, but trippy, so to speak. Before, you were mentioning that, you know, because we've leveled up some, the energetics aren't bowling us flat anymore. And so I'm wondering or recognizing the idea that maybe that perhaps my not having had that anticipation of that energy presenting itself in a specific way, that I didn't recognize it. The moment that you said that, I could see where, okay, I just didn't pay attention in that moment. But that's creative energy too, and I feel the truth behind that.
Let me tease a couple of things that you set out, parse them out a little bit. So hopefully I can remember them all. So one, you said I didn't recognize them the same way. So the recognizing that you're thinking about is the linear labeling, judgment, containerizing, quantifying thing.
Yes.
So it's really, 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 really helpful to not do that anymore.
No, I get that.
It won't ever be what we think it is, because you keep up leveling, you know, I don't know, maybe every minute, 3 minutes. So you'll never
right.
get on par with that, you know.
I feel that you're right in that. That's why I'm recognizing that in this moment of now, because actually there's something else that was trying to come in with that. Oh, shoot, I didn't grab it fast enough.
It'll come back.
Yeah, let it go for a second. So let me add to that. So you said creation energy, right? Well, it's all creation energy. So that's, again, puzzling. Well, now I'm in my creation energy, so I can really do something. Over here, I'm just weird, or over here, I'm loopy. Or okay, but if you feel into it instead of thinking how to describe it, it's helpful because you can. Energy frequencies are waves, okay? So if you looked at the waveform and the vibrational signature, amplitude, and all, you can get as technical as you want, right? All that with that. You're in different motions of the wave.
Right.
So we'll say in this loose linear placeholder way, the crescendo of the wave could have been an eyelash moment, okay, where it's coming and it's building and you can feel it. You're there in the moment. You're focused on that. You're enjoying all of that. It's expansive, and other things that were possibly distracting you or bogging you down, which again is another way to say other lower frequency energies were noticed and just let slip away, which lightens this frequency to come up on the wave. So the crescendo, right? So the eyelash part of the wave. And that's where it's building. If that's why, as I was reading your energy frequency envelope as you described that, I said, yeah, you can take your eyelash wand and zing, boom, okay? Because that's the same portion of the energy frequency wave. So it's all creator energy. There's just certain parts of it that are the point where you might zing and pop it out. Does that make sense? And then there's other things where you expand more and you coast down. So you're integrating that newest energy thing. You're playing with whatever it was you created, right? So it keeps going. But again, I just wanted to bring that to attention, because if we put it over here, over there is creator energy. So if I stand with my polka dotted shirt on and my right leg is out to the side,
and I hold my face just so.
Right, and I'm looking so many degrees to the southwest, right? then it's right, and I can do it, right? It's the same kind of stuff we've been doing before. So
you're right, and I will say this too, because that's what was coming in for me to share. Okay, a couple of things. I'm oh wow, because these are really big for me that I just realized in what you were saying. First of all, another proof to myself that we go around creating things unconsciously, and then when they present, we fail to see that I created that. Who did? I created that. Because something did happen. I did create something, and I didn't see it until this moment during the eyelash event.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I know. That's why I said.
Didn't see it till just this moment. Okay, so there was that. And so another really big tell for me that, yes, wandering around creating unconsciously, and not noticing the creation when it comes in. Recognizing it. But also the part about not being attached to what it's supposed to look like, feel like, smell like, taste like, all of that, because of our experiences of late with our icons,
mm-hmm.
and how they are and they are by the by working. Mm-hmm. For anyone out there that hears this video, we have to get rid of the idea of what it's going to look like, feel like, smell like, taste like. What it's gonna be like talking to somebody on the telephone or whatever. No, this is where being a puzzle piece collector is going to come in handy, because just that very thing I was just now sitting here thinking about, that I didn't create something during the eyelash thing. It was only because of what you said, BZ, and for whatever reason, the puzzle piece gathering thing, I was like, oh, shit, I did. Sometimes a prompting that you don't know where it comes from actually is your eye tech.
Yes.
Well, again, I don't think I don't know if you were in this conversation or not. It might have been one of those couples that Lisa and I had.
No, it was the ones you're talking about is the Tuesday ones, but we've talked, all three of us, we've talked about this before. Remember, yes. I've said you get a nudge and I just say, okay. I don't ask why. I don't ask, what are you talking about? Where did that come from? Was that a telephone? Was that a text? Was that a sailboat going by? What, Are you sure? Right? Because then you've linified it and thoughtified it to death, in which case any energy that was a gift in there for expansion to move on, to be in the flow, to figure out how to actually come through on the other end of doing it is gone. And you danced back the other way.
Right.
So it's using, let's stop for a minute. So you think of telephone. So will you now, because you've been using, that when you first heard of cell phones, you had to kind of think to pick up a cell phone because you weren't at the house and it wasn't, it wasn't shaped like this with a ringer and a ma bell and, all that kind of stuff. So, but now you can. Well, this is tech that you've always had, right? That when you fully flick the switch back on yourself, it's not being done to you. You expand your frequency to just be able to turn the lights back on. The lights, the wiring, the whole 9 yards has already been there. Now you're turning it back on. It also is at the same moment because everything is up-leveling, because all dimensions are up-leveling. So everything is expanding and moving up in all of Source's universe, everywhere, right? It's happening. So whatever some beings experience an expansion level is wherever they are at this moment is all shifting, and so it's different. Now, would that be different from somebody else who was at a lower, denser, slower frequency, vibration, and dimension in the neighborhood in which, yes. That doesn't mean that any is better than the other because there are various differentials for each one as they fully reside now in that frequency neighborhood. So when we think about the way, that's why noticing is one of the most powerful. Just notice. It's quiet, or that thought just floated by, or wow, my right knee just had this ting. All of that. You don't have to, just notice it. And if you notice it, then what you're doing is okay. So this is interesting. So you're noticing it and you're letting it come onto an energetic easel is the picture that came to me.
Okay.
And so it's there. So it's your paint box, whatever that, it could have musical notes. So it's all there. You just notice and you just say, and you notice it, which is allowing and having that flow of energy now commingle with your stream of energy. And you could visualize so that you help maybe as a tool for yourself, how do I do this? You can visualize, okay, you notice it, let it swim over, flow over to your energetic easel, whatever the metaphor you want to use is. And it's there. Okay. Then you have other pieces, and before you know it, you're overdoing here, and out of the corner of your eye, you're realizing that those things that you noticed that they seem disparate are now over there painting this picture, weaving this tapestry, right? Putting together the various scenes in a movie, and you're like, wow. because you didn't push them away. You didn't go for asking and thinking and all that kind of stuff. It just was there. And
I love
they're a combination of thought forms and energy, frequency, vibrations, and they coalesce, because sometimes what you're creating, you're actually, it's a combination of things. You can actually be creating in totality by yourself right there. Or Sheila has a good example of that vision that she created, and then she held it, but she put it on the quote unquote timeline to herself for her linear aspect to catch up to it, right? With the year or so between, right? So there are some times where we're doing it, we're creating something, and if we just can let it flow, we don't have to place it somewhere or hold it somewhere or shut it in a box. We just let it flow over there. We may be co-creating, so the three of us or other various beings are co-creating. It could be other aspects of your multidimensional self is creating, right? So those other ones will flow in at different times, and then that coalesces. Then there's the cohesion, and then you can then just play with it still in the etheric energy realm, or you can pop it out into physicality. And sometimes you'll hear a lot of people, Heather talks about this a lot, where things are event driven. So what you're doing is part of your piece, your role, your part to play in all that's going on. And so something that seems inconsequential, or what's that, or why, or where that come from, whatever it is a part of it. And as events unfold, right, in various ways, that adds to it. The fact that it didn't get pushed away, that it's just holding it, that you're really nurturing this particular creative bit, we'll say, piece, there. And as so if there's hundreds or thousands of you who just had that small, whatever it was, and again, try not to label it, because that's not helping, because the language doesn't work. And when we language it, then we pigeonhole it, and then we, it has connotations to it, and now we're off and running back in the linear hole. So it's there. And when you have, so this, we'll take one of the things on everybody has an easel, an energetic easel, and they have this piece over there. And then all of a sudden, various things are flowing, and events and energies and things are unfolding, and there were thousands of you, hundreds of thousands of you. Okay, now you're getting it now. All of you had little pieces, and all of a sudden, each being's piece lights up, starts to pulse, starts to spin, starts to really have that same eyelash moment energetic, right? And they're all coalescing. They're all coming into cohesion around the thing. Gosh, did anybody say event or something? Kind of like it. So now you see, this is how it goes. So, but if you label things and well, labeling is another way of judging it, because you're labeling, so you're constricting, so you're judging. You're putting a judgment on what it is.
Well, I keep hearing limit too every time I was.
Yeah, exactly. Constriction.
Yeah.
Yeah, boundaries. Oh, none of that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Well, didn't we have on our list one of the things of playing with the unknown?
Yes, that was.
So, I think this is where this one's going, where you're playing with that it's beyond okay to not really know what's up, because you can feel that you're flowing in an expansive, in a uplifting, up-leveling sort of way. I'm not going to use, because suggestions came in, people's suggestions came in, safe and stuff. But okay, so let's take that as an example. So safe is a very linear energy signature to it. Because when you are your multidimensional self, there's no need to be safe, because none of that construct and limiting ability and smallness just doesn't come into play. So again, that's a labeling, right?
Right.
Kind of thing. And what's fascinating is if you played with it for a day and had some way to just write in, a little notepad, something where you really absolutely for one day, 24-hour period, you 100% committed as if you would win, access to your TDA account or $1 million or whatever it is. Of course, the second one is much smaller than the first. But anyways, and that was your payoff, which irony is that they're one and the same. And you noticed and captured in a certain way, writing it down, however it worked for you, how in all the different ways, no matter what it is you're looking at, that you're labeling. And in that, you could then write labeling in parentheses, judging, limiting, quantifying, thinking small. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in the parentheses, right? And notice that. And I think most people would be absolutely gobsmacked if you truly did it and you did it 100%. You would, well, if you only did 10%, you'd be gobsmacked. But at the number of things that we label all the time.
Oh yeah, well that's
Yeah.
That's a product of our conditioning and
Absolutely.
and programming. So yeah, I can see that. I mean, we walk through our lives in every moment of now labeling things.
And so break that down a little bit more so people can play with the comprehension behind that.
Okay.
And the carrot that's held up, because oftentimes we're looking, well, we may not call it labeling, but when we, can slot things and organize things and everything. So we're more intellectual, we're more smart, we have more words, we have more this, we're, bigger vocabulary, all these kinds of things, right? Which makes us smarter, bigger, we get better at the cocktail party, whatever it is, okay? So all by design and put those things. But what it's actually doing is putting us further and further and further and further and further away from connecting completely with all of our amazing onboard techs that we have, which are far superior, by galaxies worth than any kind of labeling of the intellect or the supposed treats and benefits and rewards that come with that, the way society is built. Because it takes you further and further away from your innate abilities, which actually can take nothing and turn it into something.
Right.
So again, to break it down more, we have it set up so those who can flow in the being smart and then pride themselves on smart, and then they, the smartest one in the room and so on and so forth. So that's kind of a whole thing over here. Great. And it's all designed to beat down on them a certain way, although it's supposedly more glamorous and more rewarding and more enriching and more fulfilling. But make no mistake, there's a lot of beat down going on. Then you got the other ones that they're just not. They're not smart. They're not this. They're not that. And so they get beat down even more. But that's by design. And of course, these over here serve these over here. So you got the beat down serving the beat down, and the beaters are,
just whacking everybody over the head with the whack-a-mole stick. No, yeah. Yep. Well, it was, I don't know, it was very interesting in just those few moments ago when I realized that, because it just happened just today and I missed it. I missed seeing it. But I think that's because we are prone to labeling things in a specific way or expecting things in a specific way, or doubting the ability to create at all.
Yeah.
And then when it does create, when you do create, you didn't see it and you didn't recognize it at that moment. And then when you go back and think about it, then you start doubting again. It's like, okay, well, I'm done with that first begin. I'm not doing
yes to all of that. And here's another thing. You had a double creation, right? So, or a tandem creation. So you were in the eyelash moment.
Mm-hmm.
You had that creation. You quote unquote missed the creation that you made, didn't recognize it now, but your tandem creation was you had it at the moment. You then came a further along. You created this conversation. We're having this thing. You saw the creation back there, right? So you have the cool moment of, wow, I could, for yourself, you could see it. And then now you've created a thing where you for you and others who may be playing with the conversation as well, it's a view for them as well, because that's a way that they can go, hey, wait a minute. Because a lot of them are doing the same thing where they're going, yeah, I just did that, too. So again, we could judge, we could say, well, you said it. Even now I missed it.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, damn, I'm good. I mean, now I got this. I rock.
Oh, make no mistake. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. I felt that way. The moment I realized what I'd done, oh yeah. No, that was there. That feeling was there once I realized what I'd done.
Yeah.
And I didn't communicate it, but it was there.
No, well, we felt it, Lisa and I felt it. But what I'm saying too is that, well, and you've said you came to you'd forgotten, then you remembered, and right on camera that why one of the reasons that you're doing all this. Well, so this is a good, if you're going to be having examples, in the moment.
Oh, perfect.
Right, then creating the right.
Well, I'm getting better and better at setting crap like this up for myself.
Which is nice.
Yeah, which is nice. Yeah, because that all happened about, I don't know, not quite an hour before we all met here.
And did you see the three? You did the third one. The third one was to just momentarily, it wasn't even dancing. Smarmy wasn't in the building, but it was just a little bit come around and say, even now, I missed it. Right? So that's a way to kind of circle back and just glance at it and go, but you're so now in the flow of, wow, and we say I missed it, except that we're not linear.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there isn't missing. It just, as it came around, let's say in your toroidal field, now you can see it reflect so that it's there. You created it. It hasn't gone anywhere. The ship hasn't sailed, all those kinds of metaphors. Yeah. And you got to bring it in front here, which is part of what you had agreed to do. Right. And then part of you, so now this is where you're starting to be in that partnership. That part of you that's the lower mind said, well, even now I turn and miss it. So all of that I think is just gorgeous illustration and very expansive. It's also a good way to illustrate that there is judgment as we go. So even now, right, all those kinds of things. And that's fine if it's just a light kind of description or a light shading, if you were, back to the visual metaphor, if you're shading, something.
Right. Well, and part of that too, I'm sure, is conditioning and habit of how we look at things. And I really am I really am in the habit of catching myself and looking at things, even in, just like with the word trying, anything that I feel is habitual. I'm really looking, I'm stopping and looking at, and looking at it in a different manner. So even that, even now, comment was more habitual and conditioning than anything else.
And one of the things you said when you were describing the eyelash moment, and it was beautiful because we definitely got some of it back on camera when we were off camera, you were first showing. So the glam came on so the inner light glam came on as you were describing this, because you were bringing us all back to that energy frequency envelope. And it's a radiant energy because it's the light within. We all sparkle.
Yes.
So when you're doing, so that was really cool. And as that built and you were, re-engaging the echo of that frequency envelope, because they're all unique. So the echo of that frequency envelope, and you were bringing us to see that. So in essence, you almost entered. Well, you opened up a holographic projection of that frequency so that we could all feel it. Which is why I said the thing about what you created and you pull it out, and because I could watch what was going on in there, right? But one of the things I wanted to call attention is you talked about how you were describing, the eyelashes and how that felt, and having a moment where it's clearly, self-care, self-appreciation. So, and so much so that all of those linear terms, right, of self-care and, because we're actually going to be nice to ourselves instead of beating ourselves up. Okay, well, they're all pigeonhole words for the lower, constraining, small kinds of things.
Right.
But in that flow, one of the things, it wasn't so much the wording, those were just a kind of a placeholder on them, but the wording that you used was having to rush around and think about this, so it was not enough out there, external. So the magic is always right here, right? And then out there happens as a result of that. So in your description and in your energy that you were radiating as you were reliving that energetic envelope, you really turn the lights right up on it of that frequency. So that itself is a frequency of timelessness, of in the moment, of the stepping onto the field of all possibility. And so when the reason I bring that up is when people say, well, I got to do more, whether it's more about, what my mission is or waking up or whatever. Okay, well, that's healthy to have a thought of that, and you want to spend some commitment in that. Okay, great. But if you then start to spin it like the same, I got to work more hours kind of a thing, then we're just going back the well-trodden path of the linear.
Right. No, that's I think what I was sort of appreciating in that moment.
And since time doesn't exist, if you set a clock on your eyelash moment, right, and it's tick, 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 ticking, and it would have maybe have read a minute, do you think, Sheila, or 2 minutes, the elapsed time of the eyelash moment?
Actually, it's hard for me to put a word on that now because it lasted.
Well, I know that, but if you were to think about it. So forget that moment for a minute. In the past, if you're doing your eyelashes and whatever, is it like a minute?
Yeah, about 2 minutes, I guess, because I take my time, but yeah.
Okay. So the only reason I'm bringing you into that placeholder is that in that 2 minutes, right, if we're going to box it that way, that 2 minute box held incredible creative energy force in it because of the expansiveness of that energy. So it's like if you were building, you're packing explosives into something because you're going to send a rocket, using Lisa's term that she came up with afterwards, the rocket of desire. If you're going to pack so much explosives into thing, right? So that's what I'm saying. In that 2-minute envelope that you created is massive amounts of creative energy that you then plucked out and created something with it. So when people say, I don't have enough time, because again, that's a refrain, because we've been told we got to rush and you got to time management and multitask. And just think about it. I mean, right? So what I'm saying is that it's not about slogging. The real way we function as creator beings is nothing like, not at all like, in no way, shape, or form, looks like, resembles, flows like, feels like, tastes like, quacks, anything like what we've been living in and thinking that was real.
Well, yeah, for me, the real, the final realization that I've been wandering around creating unconsciously was that big watershed moment for me that says that we're creating in every moment. It's just, what are we creating in that moment? And so yeah, I feel what you're saying, to be specific. Whether you know what you're doing or not, you're doing it anyway. So you can. Well, see, I still have trouble with my linear, not as much as I used to, thoughts about, because, everything has to be a certain way. We were taught that from the little bit, you have to do this in order to know that. You got to learn this in order to do that. And there's always been somebody telling us every step of the way what to do and how to do it and all of this. And so if you don't know, well, are you doing, but so there's that conditioning, I guess, is what I'm talking about. And just recognizing that, because I would have never put that together with that little, like you said, less than 2-minute moment. Had I not been on this questioning path and looking at everything.
Because creating something's got to take at least days, maybe weeks, right? I mean,
well,
we think it is.
That at least 7 to go with the planet.
No,
6. Sorry.
Yeah, you forgot the day of rest.
Yeah, I know. So, no, yeah, there's a lot to this, but it's a whole hell of a lot easier than I ever thought. I will give you that.
Yeah, when you stop trying.
Yeah.
And you stop thinking, and asking, how so if you can play with, that's why I use it. If you can play with, just play with. You don't have to actually be okay with it. Just play with it. Play with being okay of not knowing what's next and how to do it. Just play with it. I intuit that I know how to do it. That's a beautiful phrase.
I love that.
Well, you said it.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Does it sound familiar, Lisa? Well, see, there are times where Lisa is so connected that she doesn't remember she has said stuff that she has said.
No, I really don't. Most everything.
Anyways, that's a good phrase for anything. Fill in the end of that phrase with anything that it is.
Yep.
So if someone says, well, I want to learn how to do X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to learn because someone out there who's bigger, smarter, faster, stronger, higher vibration, purer, cleaner, blah, 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 blah than me, because I'm small, itsy, bitsy, witsy, witsy. and nothing's going to happen until, you know, they take it upon their mercy or take the time or, you know, fill in all the other bullshit stuff that goes with it. To do,
Right.
well, that's not how it
Enough
works.
money.
That's not how it works.
No.
So can we get together with others and play things? Yeah. Can we do that where we're in the physical? Yeah. Can we do that when we're in the ethereal? Yeah. Do we do that when we think we're sleeping at night? You bet. You know, can we do it where we read an article or watch a video or see a conversation like this or whatever, where then we play with those concepts? So you may have the three of us, you know, we're over here talking, you watch them, and then something starts in all of you, in your heart, and you go, oh, and you're playing, and so this is going on over here, and you, yeah, so that's the playing. So the energies, because it's not linear, so something isn't made and then published and then it's up, and that was a long time ago, because it's in the energetic, it's in the consciousness, it's in the awakening, it's in the expansiveness on this planet in these frequencies. So it's there. So if you want a how, if you want a how, then come from your heart. Notice things and play. So those are my three hows that go with anything.
Yeah.
And someone else's can be completely different and just as amazing, because that's how, from my languaging, play with them.
Well, I wanted to get this. Well, I didn't want to interrupt you for noise purposes, but I said this once before during one of our other videos, and I actually promised to go back and put it in the video, and I did, but I want to bring this out again because you've said it now again, and the 15th of April is the new moon in Aries. And I personally, I know some folks don't follow astrology and all, but when in terms of energetics and electromagnetic fields and everything, I feel there's something to it. And so for me, that's, you know, that's just a truth that I've over my years of observation. For me, those are observations that hold some weight. And also some more observations are the Sabian symbols. And this is the beginning of the astrological new year. And there'll be an energetic that is set for the entire year with this degree of this new moon as it comes in. And that is 27 Aries, and the energetic of, through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, whenever we talk about play, I cannot think about play without imagination, because for me, that's a component of it. So it feels very, it's a puzzle piece for me, and very fitting that this is the energetic that is going to be entering in for the new astrological year. It's an energetic that will be in effect all year long until this time next year. And I don't know, it's just it's another little sign point post for me that is part of the overall energetic, I guess. And that, I don't know, I wanted to make sure I actually had it in front of me this time so I could say it properly and offer that, because I think that's that plays into it, or at least it does for me. And I know that I've had the best time over the last wow, actually it really has been sort of a banner year and a half for me, actually, almost 2 years, but in the last few months, especially. And now the idea of that's all I want to do is play. And so I encourage everyone.
And in the linear world, you know, you can't play all the time. You have to focus.
Right.
You got to pay attention. You got to be realistic. And the irony is that the creation, the manifestation comes from that frequency of play.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying raspberries to that. Raspberries to that crap.
Yeah.
It's time to play.
Yeah, man. I'm ready. Yeah.
Well, Lisa, you haven't hardly said 2 words. Would you like to kick in on
You like the phrase?
Yeah, you mean the one she forgot that she invented?
Isolated and it rhymed and it sounded really cute and I liked it. I mean, that could be a mantra, really, if you think about it.
It was a doozy. I can see that on a t-shirt.
Look for those t-shirts coming. Oh,
Yeah.
she laughs, but I'm serious.
Well, I did bring all the craft things inside.
Yeah. Oh, wait, maybe we should hand do something.
Maybe we'll make a t-shirt.
Okay, I see some play in our future.
Yes.
So I guess then no, or would you like, is there anything you would like to add to our conversation?
No, I thought it was beautiful just as it was. It was wonderful.
Well, it was another one of those unexpected conversations that we didn't plan on, and we just kind of got started, and it just I love these though, because that's the best ones a lot of times. Don't y'all
Me
think?
too. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, all the usual stuff and all the usual places. Yeah, I will have links to Lisa's blog, BZ's blog, in the body of this video, along with my information. And I'm serious. I think we should do that with those t-shirts. So be looking for that soon.
Okay.
Okay. Till next time.
See ya.
Bye.